Hey Dunlap friends, it's Mrs. Van, and we're going to continue reading Bat and the Waiting Game. Yesterday we were brought back with the characters of Bat and his sister and his cute little friend. And here we go. Chapter 4. A Stinky Joke. At breakfast, Ezra came over to help Janie practice her big audition. Janie thought Ezra was hilarious. Usually, Bat did not agree. "Hey, Batty," Ezra said when he arrived. "I've got a joke for you, okay? What do you call a flying skunk?" "Actually," Bat said, "skunks can't fly. They're mammals. The only flying mammal is a smellicopter," Ezra interrupted, and then he laughed loudly at his own joke. There were so many things wrong with the whole situation that Bat felt himself starting to rise up on his toes the way he sometimes did, and pulling his arms close to his side the way he sometimes did, hands preparing to flap. Ezra laughed even louder. "Hey, you're the flying mammal, right? Because you're Bat. Good one, Batty." "Come on, Ezra," Jeannie said, and Ezra followed her out of the entry hall toward the kitchen, still laughing. When the hallway was quiet, Bat remembered to take breaths, and he let himself bounce on the walls of his feet 10 times before putting his heels to the floor. He wiggled his shoulders around the way that helped him relax, and then he dropped his arms slowly to his side. "Little Bat," cooed Mom from behind him, "are you all right?" Bat nodded. He didn't feel like talking. Mom came around to his front and held out her arms. She knew Bat sometimes didn't like to be touched when he was upset, and this was her way of letting him know that she was there if he wanted a hug. All he had to do was take one step forward, which, after a moment's hesitation, he did. Mom pulled him close, and Bat closed his eyes, and he let his face mush into the softness of her stomach. He felt the snug tightness of her arms around his shoulders and back, and a gentle, firm pressure of her embrace. He felt safe and warm and let himself take a long, deep breath. Mom smelled of rosemary, like sunshine and peppermint and pine. Bat took another deep breath before he tapped his hand against Mom's leg. That was their signal for when he was ready for the hug to be over. She loosened her arm and stepped back. "Are you gardening?" Bat asked. "Yes," Mom said. "Do you want help?" "Yes," said Bat, and then he had a really good idea. "Mom, do you think we could research what kind of vegetables skunks like to eat and plant them in the garden box in the backyard?" He looked up at Mom's face, excited. "I think that's a great idea," Mom said. "A research project. And maybe you could ask Israel if he'd like to help." And then Bat had another idea. "We'll have to do a spring project for school, and we're supposed to have a partner. Maybe Israel and my project could be researching and growing skunk garden." "You better not plant any roses," said Ezra. He and Janie had both just walked back into the hallway on their way to get to the front yard. "Get it? Because roses smell good?" "Oh, Ezra," Mom said, "that joke really stinks." That time everyone laughed. Even Bat laughed. Chapter 5. Almost Late. On Monday, Bat waited outside the school for Israel to arrive. Mom waited with him. "You know," she said, "you could just ask him in class." "Someone else might ask him first," Bat said. "The chances of one of your classmates asking Israel to be partners for the class project between the parking lot and the classroom door is relatively low." "Low isn't zero," Bat answered. Mom couldn't argue with this. They waited together, standing in front of the main entrance to the Saw Went School, as the sea of arriving students and teachers parted around them. Bat counted 6 kids from his class: Jenny, Luca, Raymond, May, Henry, and Starla, but none of them was Israel. "Let's play the waiting game," Mom suggested. Waiting was one of the things that was very, very hard for Bat. Sometimes playing a game made time pass quickly, but Bat was too excited about the good idea to play a game. He wanted to focus all his energy on waiting for Israel to arrive. He rubbed his thumb across the rough lump of clay skunk in his pocket. Mr. Grayson pulled in with his dusty orange coupe and unfolded himself from the front seat. "Hey, Bat, are you waiting for me?" "No," said Bat. Mr. Grayson smiled. Bat had said something funny. "Hi, Dr. Tam," he said to Bat's mom. "Good morning, Mr. Grayson." She answered, and then she put her hand on Bat's shoulder and gave him a little squeeze. Good morning, Mr. Grayson, Bat said, remembering to be polite. But he was craning his neck around to see around his teacher, who was blocking his view to the parking entrance. Mr. Grayson's puffy orange vest looked like a traffic sign. Well, said Mr. Grayson, I'll see you inside. He smiled again and then finally went to the building. At last, Israel's truck pulled into the parking lot. Israel's dad was the tallest, cleanest, shiniest truck that Bat had ever seen in real life. Even the hubcaps shine. Israel's dad waved at Bat and his mom as Israel hopped out of the passenger seat. Hey, Bat, said Israel. He slammed the door and his dad drove away, a loud rumble of truck fading. Do you want to be my partner for the spring project and research growing skunk garden for Thor? Bat didn't mean to yell right in Israel's face, but he'd waited so long for those words they practically burst out of him. Sure, that sounds like fun. Israel grinned. Okay, said Bat, and then he turned to Mom. Tell Lawrence that Thor drank a bottle and a half for breakfast, he said. Lawrence helped take care of the skunk kit during the day when Bat was at school. I will, said Mom. And then she bent down to give Bat a hug. You boys have a great day. Bat followed Israel through the school's front door. The hallway was almost empty because it was about time for school to start. There were just a few kids. Miss Kiko was outside the kindergarten classroom holding a copper bell, and that she rang each morning to announce the start of her day. Thanks for waiting for me, Israel said. We're running late because Dad couldn't find the keys to the truck. He usually leaves them in a dish by the front door, but we'll have to research what kind of plants skunks like to eat, Bat interrupted. Skunks are omnivores, which mean they eat plants and animals, but I don't really know what kind of plants taste the best for a skunk. Bat, Israel said, I was telling you about why we were late. You weren't late, Bat said. You were almost late. And then he went to Mr. Grayson's class before Miss Kiko rang the bell, and they really would be late. Chapter 6, Carrot Division. There wasn't any time to visit Baby Cakes before class began. Usually the first thing Bat did when she entered Mr. Grayson's classroom was to head straight to the back to check on the class pet, Baby Cakes, a fluffy Angora puffball of a bunny. Usually didn't respond to Bat's gentle cooing. She'd just sit atop her plastic hutch inside her pen and look stoically adorable. But today Bat had brought a carrot from home to feed Baby Cakes, and she would always hop over for a carrot. If he hadn't been waiting outside for school for Israel to arrive, Bat would have had plenty of time to give the carrot to Baby Cakes. As it was, he would have to wait for recess. Bat sighed as he slid into his chair, hanging his backpack over the back of his seat. The carrot, zipped in his backpack, seemed to almost vibrate with the desire to feed Baby Cakes. Mr. Grayson was standing in front of the room talking about something. Bat saw that his mouth was moving, but he was having a very hard time concentrating on the words, something about math. All around Bat, kids reached into their backpacks to pull out their folders, so Bat did too. There was the carrot, wrapped in cloth napkin that was printed with little carrots and radishes and turnips. Bat retrieved the folder, but he grabbed the napkin-wrapped carrot too. Mr. Grayson's back was to the class. He was writing a math problem on the whiteboard with his favorite orange marker. It would only take a minute to walk back to the back of the class and feed the carrot to Baby Cakes. Maybe Mr. Grayson would even turn his back around until Bat had gone to Baby Cakes' enclosure, fed the carrot, and returned to his seat. After all, Bat reasoned, Mr. Grayson had said to the class had an open-door Baby Cakes policy, meaning that if any time a kid needed to cuddle, he or she could go visit Baby Cakes. No permission needed, no questions asked. Bat didn't actually need a cuddle, but he had this itchy feeling that Baby Cakes needed that carrot. And he knew that itchy feeling wouldn't go away until he did something about it. So he unwrapped the carrot and he pushed back his chair as quietly as he could. He tiptoed to the back of class, ignoring the stares from Jenny and Luca, and he reached into the pen to feed the carrot to Baby Cakes. Her twitchy nose twitched at the carrot, and Baby Cakes jumped down from her perch atop the plastic hutch and hopped over to Bat. Silently, Bat held the carrot as Baby Cakes nibbled at it. She took little bites and chewed them quickly, her white face vibrating with joy. Bat, said Mr. Grayson's voice just behind Bat's left shoulder. Bat jumped, startled, and with a quick movement scared Baby Cakes, who darted into her hutch, just her fluffy tail hanging out. You made me scare Baby Cakes, Bat said. She'll recover, Mr. Grayson said. Do you think you could save the rest of that carrot until break? We're starting math time. I need to make sure Baby Cakes isn't upset, Bat said. You just can't startle someone and not apologize. It occurred to Bat that maybe Mr. Grayson owed him an apology for the same reason, but Mr. Grayson didn't offer one. Okay, Bat, Mr. Grayson said, but he didn't leave. He stood there waiting for Bat to go back to his seat. Bat sighed. Sorry, Baby Cakes, he said in the gentlest voice. And then he broke the carrot in 3 smaller pieces and set the pieces slowly down inside Bat's enclosure before he went back to his seat, dividing 1 carrot into 3 parts. That, Bat thought, should count as math for the day. And that's our reading for today. Have a great day. See you next time.